There we go.
Welcome back, all you Regs and all you Shinies. Welcome to the most mediocre podcast in the Star Wars universe, the 1313 Star Wars podcast. Oh, hey, I'm Tommy.
I'm Jacob. And I'm Jackson.
And welcome back to another edition of Have a Chat. Put the goldfish away.
I'm hungry.
In this episode of Have a Chat, we are joined by a good friend of mine from Twitter. He does a lot of cool opinion pieces on the Star Wars news page, HoloNet Marauder, and he has some really great content over on Twitter, and he is very pro new Star Wars, which is just like us. So everybody welcome Aaron Skyguy to the show.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's going to be fun.
I know. Yeah, so Star Wars. So where did you begin your journey as a Star Wars fan? Was it kind of like one of those things where it just was always there, or is it like a new thing for you?
Well, it started kind of when I was younger, really young. And one time my grandpa, he's the one who introduced it to me when I was little, and we watched all 6 movies over the weekend together.
Dang.
And it was amazing. And I loved it. Like, the Phantom Menace was the coolest thing ever to me. So yeah. And then the first movie I saw in the theaters was obviously The Force Awakens. So it was pretty awesome.
That's very nice.
Yeah, for me, the first movie I saw in theaters was actually the when they were doing like the 3D versions of all the movies.
Yeah.
I saw the 3D Phantom Menace. And then didn't they stop after that one?
Yeah.
Disney bought Star Wars after that. So it was like,
Yeah.
That was the dumbest thing ever because they're like, we're going to release all the Star Wars movies in 3D. Here's one. Now we're never doing it.
It would have been really cool to see all of them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it would have. Especially the original trilogy in 3D. That would have been pretty
Yeah.
cool. Like when Yoda just lunges.
I feel like Disney might do it someday down the line if they need some cash.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you said you saw your first was The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So like, how was that experience? Did you go opening night?
We went on the opening like weekend, and we got like the worst seats ever. It was like the front row. You had to look like directly up at the screen. It was awful, but the movie was amazing. So
That's good. But
Yeah, I went. I remember my father took me because my father is probably one of the only people I could say is a bigger Star Wars fan than me. So he took me opening night to go see the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember where we sat. I want to say we sat like in the middle, off towards the right, which is decent seats. But I remember we stood in line outside the theater for 3 hours, probably, just waiting to get in. Yeah, it was quite the experience. And like, I will never forget that experience of going to see a new Star Wars movie premiere.
I remember we went like opening night as well, and we were waiting in a line about like same time, 2-3 hours.
yeah.
And I remember we had the seats that are like right behind like the handicap area, so they had like
We
the rails.
always get those.
We always get those seats because we can use that rail as like a footrest. And I remember an attendant for the theater was trying to tell us to move down, and my dad just goes, "We waited 3 hours for these seats. We ain't budging." So everybody had, like, the whole
I remember that he was so
mad. He's like, "Don't tell me to move after I waited 3 hours for these seats."
No, that's fact, bro. I wouldn't move a dang millimeter. Don't give an inch, boys. Don't give an inch.
So what do you think about like some of the new Star Wars stuff, like the Bad Batch, for example? Because over here we are very defensive against the Bad Batch hate. We just be fending off haters of the Bad Batch left and right. So what was your thoughts on the Bad Batch?
it's one of those shows for me where I think it's a really cool idea, and I definitely have a lot of fun with it. And I love being able to see, explore more of the early Empire and the transition between, Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. I just feel like it didn't really take advantage of that. It was a little underwhelming, but I really love it for what it is. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I totally see what you mean for sure. Just because it's like the biggest thing I agree in a sense that it was like it wasn't everything that we wanted to see, but at least we know that it is going to get a second season, so we'll be able to see more. And my other thing as well was that like the Clone Wars and Rebels season 1 was never really that like. I mean, it certainly had like its moments where it's like super cool, but I feel like it's relatable in the sense that it's like it wasn't like stupendous and amazing. The other seasons following that were the ones that did the most and did the best.
Oh,
so that's what I feel like is going to probably happen with the Bad Batch.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's
kind of
being made by
why
Filoni.
Yeah, that's kind of why I've reserved a lot of judgment. Like, I haven't been super harsh because I always know when it comes to these shows, it always gets way better later on.
For sure.
It's definitely a slow burn with the animated shows.
Oh, yeah.
Unless it's Star Wars Resistance, which kind of got cut short, but also like Star Wars Resistance is just not for this age of audience, I feel like.
Unless you've seen it, have you?
I haven't. I don't know. It feels like it's meant for a much younger demographic, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's great that they're making stuff for younger kids, but it just wasn't really something I could get into.
Yeah, no, we we kind of unashamedly be bashing on Resistance from time to time. Can
I be honest though? I might just watch it now.
Okay, because you've never seen it?
No. So I'm getting all these videos recommended on YouTube through the 1313 account, but it's like, look at these battle droids in Resistance, and then like look at like this fight scene with Pirate. I'm like, okay, like that's actually kind of cool. Like I want to see that, you know, because I didn't know it was like the original like B2 and B1 battle droids, and I was like, that's so cool to see.
I saw that clip as well.
You've never seen it? No,
I've seen the clip. I haven't seen the show in its entirety.
Okay, so like I've watched the show.
Wow.
And I've given this story before. I know your dad has seen it twice.
Oh,
I've watched it once. But like I tried to watch it like all in 1 week because I was like, I had a lot of free time on my hands this particular week. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to binge Resistance. And there would just be like times where I would just be gripping the bottom of my seat, praying for the episode to end because like, again, it's for 8-year-olds. So like when the main character like, oh, we're supposed to be quiet and stealthy. Oh, I fall again and alert the enemies for the 8th time in the episode.
It's the green guy that causes a majority of the conflict.
No, it's the main character.
Oh.
Kazuda Xiono. Is that his name? I forget that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Kaz, dude. He literally, every single time they have to be stealthy, my man just takes a spill. And I'll just like, I sit there and like, oh my God. But then again, if I was 8 and I was watching the show, if I was like 7 years old,
I'd be like,
oh my gosh, they're getting caught
again.
So, yeah. The thing is, it has like, I love the premise of it and like being able to explore that era of Star Wars in a much deeper way. Like, you know, I like how you brought up the battle droids. I want a show where we can see that and see connections to the rest of the saga for the sequels, and that'd be awesome. But I don't think Resistance was that show, you know?
Yes, and I think that Resistance was just kind of a gimmick to get the younger audience more into the sequel trilogy movies because it was also set in a good period. It was set between, like it started after Force Awakens. You kind of got to see it filter into The Last Jedi a little bit. But at the same time, that's the thing about the sequels is I want to see a show like The Clone Wars and like Rebels set in that era, but there's not as much time to play with because with Rebels, you have that 18-year gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. And with The Clone Wars, you have that 3-year gap between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. But with the sequel trilogy, episodes 7 and 8 are back to back. And then there's I believe it's a 1-year time gap between 8 and 9. So I guess there's some wiggle room there. But then again, they've made so many books and comics about the sequel trilogy. Like I read Resistance Reborn leading up to when episode 9 came out, which I love that book. Don't get me wrong. But that takes away more time that could be given to like an animated show that could really flesh out this era the way that I want it to be fleshed out.
Yeah, I really agree. I could possibly see them, doing a show that takes place over the span of like all the films, because I think there's a decent amount of time you could, explore, and then also kind of exploring post the Rise of Skywalker, which would be really interesting.
Yeah, when we had Palpamemes on, one of his big things that he still pushes for now is getting a show with Rey and Finn after episode 9. And like it's all there. Like the groundwork is all there, especially with the Lego holiday special when they really were like, yeah, Finn wants to be a Jedi. He's force sensitive. They're not beating around the bush with it. So I don't know.
It would be cool. Yeah.
It really would.
About John Boyega's character in that final film was he was supposed to be so much more, but like Disney China said, you're not going to get good money, good sales in China if you're going to have a black main character. So they said we're going to cut him, which is really, really sad and really, really greedy of Disney. But it's like ain't nothing we can do. And then we all know how John Boyega felt about the whole situation.
Hey, we all know about that.
Yeah. I will say I do like how the sequels are set up in terms of the timeline. I think it's really unique, and I believe, in my opinion at least, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi are like the perfect duology of films. They just work with each other so well. But when it comes to like making a show and exploring that era more in something like that, it is definitely a weakness.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice thing about those two films, 7 and 8, because I don't think there's any other like Star Wars films that really go back to back other than Rogue One and A New Hope. But Rogue One's not a part of the Skywalker saga, so I wouldn't even like count that really. But you don't see a lot in Star Wars where like theatrical releases are literally in the timeline back to back.
Yeah. I probably would have set The Rise of Skywalker a little later than a year. That's definitely a decent amount of time. I don't know. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it in terms of the movies, but yeah. So.
But so I know that you are just kind of like, I've been following you for a long time. So like, I know that a lot of your content revolves around a very positive energy towards the sequel trilogy. We've talked about it before on the show. It is very popular to bash on those movies, it seems like. And it's very easy to do because it's like just so easy to be outraged about stuff.
Yeah.
The hate is unanimous.
Yeah.
In most cases.
Yeah. The hate is just like, it's so easy to hate things, but like, it's so refreshing to see like people be positive about the movies. So like, what was your relationship with the movies? Did you always like them right from release, or like was it kind of like something that you gained a love for over time?
So when I saw The Force Awakens, it was pretty much love at first sight. That movie was so magical, and I was so excited for the future. Like I was very involved in, Star Wars YouTube channels and all the theories that, were going around before The Last Jedi. And, I saw The Last Jedi and I fell in love. Like after I saw that, it was like the best Star Wars movie, in my opinion. I loved it. And then there was like a couple months where I kind of just wasn't as involved online. I know that's really surprising, like to not be aware, and then I went online and it really made me bummed out how divisive that movie was, because I just loved it so much. And it got to the point where I began to hate it. I started to believe what a lot of people were saying about it. And it made me I was really angry. But I kind of looked back and I was like, I don't know why I'm angry, because I rewatched it and I was like, I don't know why I'm angry. I'm not even angry. Like I like the movie still after when I rewatched it. And I began to realize that I was giving in to what everyone was saying at the time. And then The Rise of Skywalker came out and I was really mad about that, because I loved The Last Jedi. And on a very surface level, I understand I understand why a lot of people believed that it was undoing, episode 8, because that's kind of how I felt too. And there was a long time, almost a year, where I just did not like The Rise of Skywalker at all. And then I did a whole rewatch of the sequel trilogy, and my perspective has kind of changed. And then, I loved The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, and I began to not actively hate The Rise of Skywalker. And the more and more as I watched it, I kind of started thinking about it more, and I kind of realized it wasn't really trying to undo The Last Jedi at all. It just didn't do what I wanted, and it kind of went somewhere I didn't really expect. The movie definitely has its problems, but that's just like any other Star Wars movie. And I've come to appreciate it and love it a lot. It's definitely not my favorite. And overall, the sequel trilogy, I think, is pretty good. It's, I love it a lot. So it's kind of a roller coaster of emotions. So
yeah, no, I totally understand what you mean, where it's like you watch, because coming out of the theater, my whole family really did enjoy The Last Jedi. We were like, that was a really cool movie. Like, we thought so-and-so scenes were like pretty dope and whatever. But then it was like, yeah, after like the internet blew up with just like hate for the movie, we did kind of fall into that trap at first. We're like, we're awful. Star Wars is awful now, like blah, blah, blah. But then we pulled our heads out of our butts and we're like, well, it really isn't that bad. It's like, sure. To be completely honest, I just don't like the Cantonite scene. And that's like literally it. Like, people can complain for eons about how bombs shouldn't be falling in space because there's no gravity. Fella, how does a super Star Destroyer fall going like this to like this in like ruining the Death Star shields? I'm like, y'all fellas are just like Stevie Wonder. You're like, hey, yo, where's the inconsistencies with the OT stuff?
Dude, that came out of nowhere. You were just...
Yo, I got on a roll right now. I'm not even gonna try.
Yeah, dude, that's like, I'm so like on that same page because there's just so much stuff. I mean, we joke about like the knife in the throne room fight with the Praetorian guards.
He's like, I have 2 knives. 1 knife.
The knife disappeared, or like that video where they have all the stuntmen and they're like watching the scene frame by frame and looking for every little like inconsistency between shots or like everything. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, that's not meant to be watched frame by frame. It's meant to be quick, and it's filmed a certain way. It's not meant for you to take it apart little piece by little piece. And we always joke about like the fight scene in Attack of the Clones.
I was gonna say that's the one. Yeah. That's one thing I will fight you on, because at first I adored that fight scene, but it's just the fact that I know how much money Disney has. They could have done another take. That's all I gotta say. And I know they're dumping so much money into that. I know they could have done a little bit better, especially it's like, because you look at like this, like the prequels and like those fights. It's like I'm referencing fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, episode 3.
Yeah,
it's so grandiose and so well choreographed, and every beat has to hit. It's just like they put in the work for that. Why couldn't you do it for this? That's my only complaint, though. That's the only Star Wars movie where I can be like, I don't like it that much, but I'm not going to sit here and slander it.
I guess my only counter to that would be the Annie-Obi fight is a one-on-one fight, whereas the throne room fight is like, what, 8v2, I think it is? Or was it like...
Yeah, it was like 8 against 2 people.
But there's almost no difference to it, because those the fights are choreographed like a dance. There's a beat that you have to hit. Yeah. It was just the fact the stunt coordinators were doing exactly what they needed to. It was just the fact that Daisy Ridley was doing it by herself, and so was Adam Driver. And by trade, they are not stunt performers.
No,
I am not knocking them for that. Their performance in the movies were fantastic. They were a beat behind, and the stuntmen were just trying to make up for that.
Improvise,
and that's okay. I'm not blaming the stunt coordinators. I'm not blaming the stuntmen. It's just the main actors were just a beat behind, but that is a-okay.
I think the only thing I really have to say is you could kind of pick apart almost any fight in these movies. Like even you look at Anakin versus Obi-Wan, and they switch lightsabers, and it's never explained why. Like they just do all of a sudden. Or like in Return of the Jedi when Luke is fighting, the people on the sail barge, and he like does a force kick. You know, it's not a force kick. It was just a mistake in the choreography. Like, if you want to use the same logic as the haters for the throne room fight in that fight, then and be all mad about the fact that, you know, the thing disappeared, which allowed Rey to win. Well, then the dude shouldn't have dropped the gun when Luke didn't land the kick. He could have shot Luke, you know? So, you know, it just feels like they have a lot of double standards. They don't like the movie, so they're not going to be fair to it. So
the only reason why I would let the sail barge scene get away with it, it's because if they don't notice it, like, especially with like kind of the budget and the technology at the time, if you don't notice it until like it's about to get released, you can't reshoot it really, because it's all film. You can't do any digital correction. That's the only leeway I would give to that.
Or I think about like in episode 1, because then there's like, you know, we could do it later on, but then it looks messy. Like when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan do like their force dash in the Trade Federation ship. It's like, bro, what? Like, what just happened?
It looks so silly. I love it. But then there's also the fact that it's like in episode 2, Dooku versus Yoda, Anakin and Obi-Wan just disappear.
They're gone.
So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, the fight scene is terrible. It's just the fact that I know Disney has a butt ton of money and they could have done a reshoot if needed, but it was probably just the fact that they didn't notice it and they thought it was good after the shot that they got. So either that or they were short on time. I don't know. I wasn't there on the day. I don't make movies. I'm not a stunt coordinator. All I can do is complain about it after the fact because I saw the end product and wasn't a huge fan of it. But then again, my words hold no real weight in this world. So yeah.
But yeah, like I guess I don't know. There's just stuff about like when these movies like get hated on. It's so weird to me because like it's so angry. Like the hate that these movies get, and it really goes for anything nowadays. Like people were hating on Shang-Chi before it came out.
What?
Like, dude, oh, you didn't hear about that?
No, what?
Dude, so how do you say is it
Shang-Chi?
No, like the actor's name. Simu Liu. Is that how you say his name?
I think that's his name.
Yeah, but so he posted a picture of all these thumbnails, and it was all the same dudes that do all the videos about Star Wars. Like they were all saying that Shang-Chi was going to flop, and it was flopping before it even released, and all this stuff. And that it was like, you know, Disney trying to push diversity in Marvel or whatever. And like, then the movie did really well, and all the actor did was take like a bunch of the thumbnails from all those videos together, and didn't he say like LOL or something?
Yeah.
And like all those YouTube creators threw a huge tantrum about it. And they were like, this is oppression, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is terrible. And I guess I just sit here and I'm like, okay, so if you love a franchise so much, like you say you love Star Wars, then when you hand out a debate or like a statement that you know is going to get like rebuked by other people, then like don't get upset when the thing that you put into the universe purposefully gets criticism. It's like it's such a double standard, like you were talking about earlier. Like the like people's, you know, we criticize a movie that comes out. Well, if you're going to criticize something, then expect a counter argument from another person. Don't expect your word to be gospel when you're the same person who is criticizing everything.
Yeah.
The movie was super
Okay,
good.
on a side note, did you see that movie?
I haven't seen it yet.
It is so good. You have to see it when you get a minute. I'm not even joking. I went into the theater. I was like, okay, you know, another Marvel superhero movie, and like my shoes were knocked off, dude. It was so incredibly good.
I tried talking to a kid at college about it who saw it, and he was like, I thought the main enemy was disappointing and blah blah blah. I was like, dude, the movie was good. And it was funny because I asked him if he saw it initially, and I was like, oh, did you go see Shang-Chi? And he goes, I'm Asian, of course I saw it. And I was like, that doesn't have to do with anything. I'm not Asian and I saw it.
But they loved it though. Because I accidentally went the same night. Like a lot of my other friends were watching it. They just went to like an hour before my show. But we were all talking about it and they're like, so good. It was really good.
Go see it.
Yeah.
I will. I was really open to it. I'm not sure what to expect because I'm not very familiar with the character, but everyone keeps saying it's so good. So
Yeah,
I'm
no, so
excited.
like the way that I am about Star Wars, I am not about Marvel. Like I am very like I've read a couple of the so Captain America was my favorite hero growing up. So I read a lot of the Captain America comics that were made into the movie. So I read Winter Soldier, I read Civil War, like I read the original Captain America comic. So I knew a lot about that character. And I also read Spider-Man comics when I was a kid. But like other than the MCU, like at this point in the game, I don't know really anything about Marvel. And so yeah, Shang-Chi, didn't even know he was a character in Marvel until I heard about the movie. And then I watched the movie and I was like, whoa!
I'm so excited for this new phase of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Just
me too.
Of multiverse stuff and like all the magic and things like that. Because that's what I love. Because it's so stupidly creative. Because you can have a hero go, boom, I'm a hero, I'm strong. But once you're like, oh, some worlds are now colliding, time is not what it's supposed to be, paradoxes. I'm just like, no, this is interesting.
So are you what was I gonna say? You're talking about Marvel. I have like self-diagnosed short-term memory loss. So like I'll have like I'll have a thought process going and then it just boop, it's gone.
Dr. Tommy with the self-diagnosis here.
I don't know. I lost my train
You
of
lost your train of thought.
I lost it. So Marvel's doing a What If series right now. So how would you feel if they did a Star Wars What If series? What are some storylines that you would want to see from that?
Oh wow. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that. You know what? I think it would actually be really interesting to see things like what if Darth Maul beat Obi-Wan during the Phantom Menace?
That's sick, actually.
That would change a lot.
That'd be dope.
You know, I think one I know a lot of people would really enjoy is, you know, what if Rey joined Kylo Ren in The Last Jedi? That'd be interesting. That's a really popular one that I'd like to see. You know, another one that it actually comes from like the behind the scenes of Return of the Jedi and an idea they had, you know, where Vader dies and they were going to have Luke put on his helmet and be like, I am the new Vader, you know, that would have been awesome.
What if the movie was called Revenge of the Jedi?
Oh, you know, there's just so much you can do. I don't know. Those are just some ones I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, like I know for me, like so the clones are probably my favorite part of Star Wars just because of the Clone Wars. Like I was the kid where when I would watch the Clone Wars episodes when they were coming out on Cartoon Network, when a random nameless, like I didn't know who the clone was. If I saw a clone get shot, my little heart was just like, oh no. So like if I could just see a what if episode where the clones didn't commit Order 66 and they ended up defeating Palpatine after episode 3 and like all ended up being well, just to see like how happy everyone would be, because that's such a tragic ending to a movie. Literally everyone gets the short end of the stick and I'm like,
Except Maul.
And
Palpatine.
Yeah, but like I just, it would be so wholesome just to see all the characters, especially from the Clone Wars.
High fives all around.
Just that would just be. And then another one, I guess, would be what if Padme just went with Anakin to the dark side? Like, what if?
Wow,
that would be
cool.
Like kind of the antithesis of my one idea. Like Padme ends up being Force sensitive and like takes over with Anakin. You know.
That is a cool idea.
And then there's like you can probably do some stuff with Rebels and things like that. I can't think. What if Kanan didn't die? And things like that.
Dude, so have you seen Rebels?
I have. I watched the whole show. Yeah.
Okay.
He asked that question and my heart sunk. I was like, if this kid says no, I'm gonna feel really bad.
So when like there have only been a few times where Star Wars has really gotten me emotionally, like in a sad way.
Yeah.
And really one of those times was watching the episode where, spoilers by the way, if you haven't seen Rebels, anybody listening or watching, I guess skip ahead like 30 seconds, but like
a minute, because we'll probably talk about this.
But when Kanan died, I literally was just I was so heartbroken because like you see Hera, you see Sabine crying as like she's flying the gunship away, and it's just like, dude, my little heart, I can't
and
take
it's unexpected.
Yeah,
like it isn't like, oh no, like I'm like I am going to die. It's just he's dead, and the screen goes white, and it's quiet, and then it just says, I've like that is so powerful.
Like me, opinion. Jackson, and our dad, we all watched it together. I remember the episode ended, and we were just like, we literally sat there in silence for like a minute, and nobody said anything. We were just all like so shocked. And the only thing I could say that kind of gave it away, is the fact that Kanan was getting like a lot of kind of development during the episode, as in like becoming like a better person. Mm-hmm. So it's like that's the only thing I could say. Oh, that could have been an indication that it was going to happen. But you're so involved with the story, you just don't expect it.
Right. Mm-hmm. So do you prefer like TV shows for like Star Wars in the future? Do you prefer them to go more in a direction of TV or like theatrical releases?
So I am very kind of I wouldn't say I'm like I wouldn't be open to more movies, but after The Rise of Skywalker, I feel there's a lot of closure. There was closure. I'm kind of ready to move on, you could say. Not that I'm ready to move on from the characters or anything like that, but I'm so happy now that we're doing more TV shows. We're exploring times in between the movies, or even like hundreds of years before the movies. Mm-hmm. So all that stuff is cool, and I've noticed that these TV shows can do so much more. Like, I like the movies a little better, but you can't really deny that these shows, that they don't do a lot with this world and these characters. So I really want them to continue down that path. But I'm open to the movies coming out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I am personally just a little bit disappointed, in my opinion, that the next movie is Rogue Squadron. Because, okay, at the same time, though, I'm perfectly okay with Star Wars movies taking a different direction from the Skywalker saga.
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean?
Why you haven't seen anything about it yet.
But let me explain it.
Rogue Squadron's gonna be bad.
No, I'm not saying it's bad.
Shang-Chi's gonna flop before it even hits the theaters.
Shut up. No, but basically what I'm saying is that it's like, because they're already trying to talk about the High Republic, I want something for the High Republic. Because
I agree.
Sit around for years, and I said this before on the show, forget what episode, but it's like they have the books, they have the comics and stuff. I'm like, okay, I don't want the High Republic to sit around as a book for years before it gets made into a movie or some other adaptation. Mm-hmm. If they make a show about it, that's fine. I just want something for it, because I am so afraid that if they sit on it and they wait and then they do something with the High Republic, people are not going to like it. Or there's going to be something
for the High Republic, though. Acolyte.
Yeah.
At the very end
of the High Republic. You're right. But isn't that coming out in like 2024?
Yeah, but that's only 2 years.
Jackson's going to be watching from Iran. He's just going to be sitting there.
Sitting in Iran in my boonie trying to watch the new episode. Trying to watch the new episode while my soldiers get bought. No, that's a hot take. That's a hot take.
So, if you don't know, so Jackson and Jacob are actually both on scholarship with the Army. So, like, once they finish college, they go into the Army. So, like, that's why Jackson said that.
I do not endorse violence.
Hey, bro, we pulled out of there. We there no more.
That's true. We did.
That's Afghanistan. But that's not for the show.
That's not, no. We gonna leave it at that.
No politics, no religion, no great pumpkin. Y'all know the big three. Can't talk.
But yeah, so like for me, I really like Star Wars TV as live action, and then I equally love Star Wars animation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I need to know your thoughts on this, but over here. I'm so sorry. So behind the camera, this big AT-AT that we have just fell over. So that was just unexpected. But yeah. So how do you feel about Visions? Because over here, the hype level is way up here for Visions.
So we're like up here for Visions.
Well, for me, I'm not a huge. I'm not really into like anime and stuff.
That's
But
So
that
do you want
doesn't
some
mean I.
suggestions for some shows to watch?
Don't be harassing
Demon
me.
Slayer, dude. If you don't like anime and you haven't watched it,
My brother's watching Demon Slayer right now.
watch Demon Slayer. It's a perfect intro anime. It's super easy to get into. If you have free time and you want to watch something, I hit.
You want to bump the table again?
That's my dad.
I'll probably watch that. Actually, like a couple of years ago, I was really into like Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, I'm not against anime. I just think the stories sometimes aren't really for me. But when it comes to like this Star Wars Visions, again, well, I'm very excited. I'm very open to what they're gonna do. The episode Twins sounds amazing.
Yes.
The art style, I'm more excited about this due to the visuals and the art style and the aesthetic of it all. I saw some of that concept art, and it looked amazing.
It really truly does. Like
I just spilled my goldfish.
I did not. I put them away because this dude keeps. This is so disrespectful.
I'm so hungry.
So am I. But
just ate them.
oh my, these guys. Or not you. Not you. You're not you.
Yeah, but freaking, I'm really excited. I mean, it's like, yeah, the Twins episode is going to be awesome. I know on the show, I'm excited for a certain bunny character.
A certain bunny character, which he will be dressing up as.
So for our 150 subscriber
Which
milestone,
they just came up with right now. We never
No!
talked about this before.
All right.
We talked about this in
They
private.
So,
talked about it.
you know
not
how
me.
in the one episode there's like that bunny girl character.
Yeah.
So a few weeks ago on the podcast, Jackson said that he thought she was hot
Hey,
on
let's
air.
pause that note.
On
Let's pause
air.
and take it out
So-
of context.
So we were like, what do you mean by that? So we were doing like a live stream, and one of our subscribers said that for the 150 subscriber milestone, which we actually just hit the other day, we should make Jackson dress up as the bunny girl for an episode of the podcast. And we did it, so now he has to do it. You're obligated now.
Obligated.
We're forcing
Wow.
you. It's gonna happen.
We're gonna buy the costume for you. And
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna wear
t-shirt too while you're at it.
But you buy that yourself.
But yeah,
That's gonna be
so
amazing.
that's kind of the background on that.
Yeah. Very fun.
But yeah, so Star Wars anime. I mean, after seeing like the Galaxy of Adventures shorts that the Star Wars Kids YouTube channel has done,
Yeah.
ever since then I was like, Star Wars needs to be an anime. Star
Mhm.
Wars needs to do an anime.
I mean, it just works. Like the whole aesthetic, it
Mhm.
looks amazing that way with that kind of art style and animation. So, yeah, I don't really understand people who are so against it. Like, I just love seeing so many different interpretations of this world and story we all love.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing that blows me away is people will be like, multiculturalism in Star Wars, diversity in Star Wars. And I'm just like,
Okay.
don't you understand that the very concept of Star Wars itself is pulling from like every different culture all at once?
Mhm.
Like it's like, it just goes to show Star Wars can mean very different things to many different people.
Mhm.
Like, for some people, they have a much more surface level understanding of Star Wars, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not as passionate about Star Wars as other people are. And I think that that's like weird to kind of think about sometimes, because like for me, that's my favorite thing to talk about in Star Wars is like the big overarching like philosophical messages and like the different
Yeah,
like
I definitely
cultures
agree.
that Star Wars pulls from is like, that's my favorite thing. And I like when Star Wars is weird and different, but there's a lot of fans who are equally as valid in like feeling this way about it. They just want to see more of what they love.
Yeah.
And so I think like shows like The Mandalorian do a great job of intermingling the two.
Definitely. I guess for me, it's and this will. I know a lot of people have kind of talked about, you have this favorite restaurant and it has all these things you love, and it sometimes adds new things to the menu that you don't like. Well, the things you love aren't going to go away, and they're still making things that cater to you. So if they also make something that, these people may not like, they don't need to complain about it. It's kind of also how I feel about the possibility of like Ryan Johnson's trilogy being made. So many people are like getting upset about it. Well, think about all of the other stuff they're making too. And maybe that's just not for them, so they don't have to see it, you know? So that's kind of my opinion on that.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, don't watch it. It's that simple.
I mean, like there are arcs of the Clone Wars that I really am not that fond of, and I just don't watch it.
Episode.
Dude. All right, you've seen all the Clone Wars, obviously, right?
Yeah, I have.
This arc, the arc with Meeber Gascon and the droids having an existential crisis in the middle of nowhere, is a good arc. It's a good arc. Is it not a good arc,
dude?
It is actually. It's very kind of, the concept is very silly, but I think it's done well. Yeah.
Yes.
All I gotta say is, me and my homies rolling out, gotta get us some Jogan fruit for this Jogan fruit cake. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Disclaimer: when I talk about how I hate the droid arcs, I hate Goldie. I skipped that arc when I was rewatching the Thors because I was like, I hate it. Because they're like, traitor! And they're like, oh my gosh, this R2 suddenly wants to kill us. I was like, the entire episode, bro. It is literally not funny and it's not good. I do not like it. But that's an opinion.
I like how we have his action figure too. We have
I'm breaking it.
Dude, Jackson will literally sit here and be silent for 10 minutes, and then he just is like, you know what I hate? I hate Goldie.
Because I'm thinking about it, bro. Because you were talking about the droids. I was like, that fella Goldie, bro. Let me tell you.
It's like, let me run you some knowledge on Goldie. Bad.
I mean, it's like the other droid arc, though, with the Great Jesus. That's pretty funny. I like that.
And then there was like that Wizard of Oz moment where the pit droids were controlling like that big, like ominous thing under the mountain.
That was funny. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's, again, like, I just like when Star Wars is weird. Like, when Star Wars just does something that's completely, like, not your stereotypical Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's where I'm always, like, that's where I'm the most into it. Like, when Star Wars does stuff, like, in The Mandalorian, the episode with the Frog Lady. Just saying. I don't know if you collect anything like the Star Wars action figures or anything like that. I have been saying we need a Frog Lady Black Series figure.
We don't.
Yes, we do.
Nope.
We
do not care.
She's an icon.
She is.
She got her own poster. You know, we need more.
Because here's the thing, I don't really dislike the Frog Lady. The reason that my what's the word that I
choose your next words carefully. Slander Frog Lady in my presence.
The reason I have discourse for the Frog Lady was that we knew an episode was going to come out called The Jedi. We knew an episode was going to come out with Ahsoka and potentially like other really big stuff. So when you sit there after waiting a week and you watch an episode of a frog person bounce around and you're like, hey, that's not Ahsoka, you get pretty mad pretty quick because you're like, give it to me. Give it to me. But the Ahsoka episode was worth the wait. I'm not even going to cap, bro. That was amazing.
Dude, at the end of the episode when Bo-Katan goes, you'll go to the planet Chorus, then you'll see Ahsoka Tano, and you're just like, ah!
But what got Jacob going that was so funny is that we had a duck hunt early one morning, so we woke up like at 4 to watch it. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end of the episode with Ahsoka, when Ahsoka was like, where's Grand Animal Throne? Jacob was like, oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! It was so funny.
I was like, because my mom was still asleep, I couldn't scream, so I was literally standing there like,
that was me with the Luke Skywalker episode.
Oh yes. I love that episode so much. That's all relating it back to Kanan. That's one of the few episodes of like anything related to Star Wars that makes me upset. It makes me upset in a sad way to see Grogu go, but then I'm also happy for The Mandalorian just continuing as a show.
Yeah.
So what did you because I know that you recently changed your setup on Twitter to Darth Revan. How are we feeling about that announcement about the KOTOR remake?
Okay, so when I saw that, I was like so hyped. Like, I heard Bastila's voice, and we were seeing Revan, and then the title was like up, and it was like remake, and I was like freaking out. Like, we had been hearing rumors for so long, and I have kind of just recently in the past like couple months been playing the KOTOR games, and I love them so much. And I was just so excited. Like they could literally fix all my problems with the games because I just don't like the combat at all. And I'm so excited. And then I realized, oh wait, this is the PlayStation showcase.
Oh.
And I was like, it's just
You're an
PlayStation.
Xbox player?
Yeah, sadly.
My man,
Let's
yeah.
go!
I mean, it is good that it's a timed exclusive, so I'm not too upset.
So then if it's doo-doo garbage and they don't change anything except the graphics, you can be like, oh, like I, it doesn't matter that much if I, don't get it as early as PlayStation people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree.
You can just sit back and watch all the people that pre-order it hate the game, then we can be like, yeah, I didn't
Sucks
get-
to suck.
sucks to
Yeah.
suck, PlayStation user.
Do you play Battlefront 2?
Oh yeah.
We just gotta run up a ginormous match
Dude.
with all the people that we
Yeah.
can have a chat with, because
Because-
everybody's on Xbox and except for Skywalker Hendrix, and then
Yeah.
everybody plays Battlefront.
Rip
So
the
we
whole
might
thing.
as well just run up a giant supremacy match with just
Supremacy
creators.
match with everyone that plays, because that's the thing is like, I don't know what it is about like the way my Twitter works, but I'll interact with so many people and I'll be like, oh my gosh, this person's super cool and they love Star Wars and they like Battlefront. I'll text them and be like, oh, what do you play on? And they'll be like, PlayStation. And I'll just be like, oh, you're killing me. Because honestly, like we haven't played that game because
In a minute.
we used to play it religiously. Like I have 94
Yes.
days played on that game right now. So like I definitely like.
Let me calculate that amount of hours just so everybody.
Well,
can
I could look it up on the Xbox app to give you my
Well,
like.
that's facts.
exact
If you talk while you
number.
look at it.
Yeah, but like, when I think about that,
So we're talking just 94 days. That's 2,256 hours.
well
Wow.
spent. Well spent.
Yeah.
You know what, Aaron Skyguy, I want an opinion really quick. You rocking with heroes versus villains in that game or not?
Oh yeah. I'm pretty.
Loser. This dude
Oh.
sucks at heroes versus
Man,
villains.
Because it's awful. Because I don't have any good characters.
trash. You're just trash.
I don't have any.
Shut up. You're trash.
We have all the good characters on your Xbox, and then when I bought an Xbox to go to college, I had to reset everything. So none of my characters are good.
trash.
And the only people that play Battlefront are good players now, or have really high level stuff. So I'm like, great, guess I'm stuck using a level 1 hero. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna block, and then you block and you die instantly.
Nah, let
That's
me-
why I hate it.
Let me share with you the real reason. We'll be sitting there, and Jackson is colorblind. So Jackson
doing this.
uses the colorblind filter, but the
No,
one
I
that
don't.
he uses makes
Oh, I used that one. Yeah, that
makes
was
the
bad.
enemies like highlight and like the friendly highlight look almost the same. So I'll be in a 3-on-1. Jackson, where are you? And he's just like all the way across the map. Bro, you're with the rest of our team. And I'll be like, no, Jackson, help.
He's like, bro, why are my teammates hitting me? Why are my teammates hitting me, bro? Bro, this grass is really red today. Bro, why are my teammates hitting me?
I can see the lightsabers. Don't be doing that to me now.
And then Grievous throws you off. You're like, but it's green and blue.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, that's
I can't talk. I'm colorblind as well.
we
but-
haven't played the game in a while.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know about you, but there's just no like games that I'm super hyped about that are out right now. Like when the
Yeah,
next
I do.
Battlefield game drops, I'm gonna be playing that.
Mhm.
Facts.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'll come back to Battlefront. I actually play Instant Action a lot because that's pretty good actually on the Series X. It runs really well, so
okay.
it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I still have the original Xbox from 2015.
Mhm, me
So
too.
I have the newer version of the Xbox. It's the all digital. That's what I got.
Hmm.
I really like that though.
I like my discs.
I like my discs too.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that game, what's your favorite like maps? Because for us, we all really enjoy playing Galactic Assault on Crate.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you can snipe people for the first like whole part of the match.
Mhm.
I love that map.
It's good if you're the first order. It's bad if you're not, in my opinion, because
I like watching all the prairie dogs pop their head up in my scope.
Well, no, let me break that. It's better if you're the rebels and bad if you're the first order. Sorry, because you get
You
to not
mean the Resistance?
shut up. It's the same thing.
No, it's not.
Bro, I'm not gonna go. Tommy, I'm joking.
What do you mean by that?
No, because as soon as you get to that last part with the doors that are closing, it's impossible to win half the time as the first order because people are just shielding it. Which it's like, it is what it is. It's a flaw with the map. I don't really care that much because the rest of the match is usually fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think my favorite, maps in the game, obviously Crate. I love Naboo. That's amazing.
That's a good one.
I think Geonosis is awesome.
That is
especially Galactic Assault.
Mm-hmm.
All the prequel maps are so good. Yeah,
they are.
I like Tatooine. That's pretty fun too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the thing about the prequel maps that makes them so much more fun is because the planets are so exaggerated and ridiculous that like they can do so much more with it. Whereas like there's only so much you can do with Mos Eisley. There's only so much you can do with Hoth. Yeah. But when you have these other maps like Kamino and Kashyyyk that are just everything is so grandiose, like you can literally play around with like the scale of things and like elevation so much more.
Yeah.
Because you can stream your Xbox to your computer, and I have this thing because I have the Oculus Quest too. You can stream your Oculus to your computer. So I stream my Xbox and then my Oculus to my computer, so I could play Battlefront while in the Oculus. It was impossible to play, but I scaled everything up. The Naboo is ginormous. Like the pillars, I would just be standing there like, oh my gosh, it's so tall. It's like, it's so crazy how big the scale is. I really wish that they would implement some form of VR into those games, just because it makes you appreciate those maps so much more. They're so freaking big, dude.
Yeah, they look beautiful.
Mm-hmm. They all have such great detail, and that's what makes the game a lot of fun to play too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, though, like, it's gotten stale over time just because it's been over a year now since any new content has been added. So I literally sit here and I'm just like, there's nothing really new to do. So, like, I get an itch every now and again to play the game, especially when you play with friends. It can be really, really fun. But, yeah, at the end of the day, it's just, like, I really wish... It doesn't even have to be Battlefront 3. I just want like a new Star Wars game that I can get really into the way I did with Battlefront 2, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree. It is something I will, come back to. And like I said, I'm so glad they added on and even added the mode instant action to the game. That'll definitely, keep it, playable even after the servers are shut down. But you're right. It's not something I play like I used to.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I'm really praying to God that next year we get something of an announcement for a big Star Wars title, because
it all seems so far away.
Yeah, it's been nothing. It's been absolutely nothing.
Well, but we just got Squadrons not too long
ago.
I
mean, we're gonna get KOTOR, which is fine, and we know that. Well, okay, I shouldn't say we know. There is all that speculation that we will get Jedi Fallen Order 2 at some point, but then we did have those other reports saying that we're going to get a video game kind of based upon The Mandalorian, which I'm interested to see. That was the one that Bethesda's studio was working on, correct? Okay.
And we're getting open world Star Wars games from Ubisoft, and also the Jedi Fallen Order one has been confirmed. EA is working on it, because that's their biggest selling title right now.
Mandalorian Skyrim, you're walking around and it's just...
I want to see the baby.
Be quiet. It is sleeping.
It's asleep.
You all be quiet.
That would be so sick.
But yeah, so if you could pick like a few things that you would want to see from the future of Star Wars in the next, let's say, 10 years, that way there's so much time to get everything together for it. Whether it's games, books, like products, movies, anything, what would you want it to be?
Oh, wow. Well, first off, and I know it's pretty much already confirmed because he's already talked about it and they haven't taken down the announcement off StarWars.com, but I really want Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy to come out soon. He's really busy with Knives Out, but I know that's kind of already been confirmed and all that, but I just really want that. But in terms of just like my own original ideas, I think it's pretty obvious that a sequel era TV show would be awesome. Anything at all. I know The Mandalorian ties into it a little bit, but I want something directly based on the sequels. There's a lot you can do with that. We kind of already talked about that. I would just love to see, I know they're really kind of apprehensive to touch the original trilogy and those characters, especially recasting them, but they already have Han and they already have, Luke and Leia. Like they could do something with that. That'd be awesome.
Solo too.
I mean,
Yeah.
And honestly, all I'm saying on that is I say it all the time. People bash on poor Alden Ehrenreich, and I think he did a phenomenal job.
Oh my gosh, he did such a good job.
Yeah,
because he wasn't playing Harrison Ford. He played Han Solo.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did really well, and it was really good.
I would really like a High Republic movie. I know they're doing Acolyte, but that era, I really don't think it should be confined to books.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Even if they did a video game based on that era, that would be amazing. Yeah. I don't know. I think it would be really cool to do something with Luke Skywalker and Ben Solo. I'm personally someone who thinks that the story by itself, or at least how it is right now, works amazingly well. I feel like the movies give you enough to understand those characters and what happened. And even The Rise of Kylo Ren did such an amazing job expanding that. But I know for a lot of people, they feel like there isn't enough there to justify what happened. And I understand that. And I think just for me who already likes it, why not give us more,
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, because I don't know how you feel about, I know Dave Filoni's projects have been retconning some stuff from previous comics that were considered canon. I know in the very first episode of The Bad Batch, the way that Order 66 gets executed when Kanan is present is completely changed.
Yeah.
I don't mind that because for me personally, as much as I've almost read the first 3 Thrawn books. I've read Resistance Reborn. I've read Master and Apprentice. I've read some of the comics. I feel like in order to get that kind of stuff out there to a larger audience, because honestly, most of Star Wars fans are from TV and movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's it's a very niche group coming from books. And again, it kind of ties in with your High Republic idea too. I mean, I don't mind when they retcon stuff from comics or books as much, because seeing it on the big screen or on my phone or something like that is just so much more visceral than reading it and imagining how it would be. So personally, I don't know about you, but I don't really care all that much because again, the story from the comic is still there. It didn't go away. I don't know.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. If they kind of change little things, but I obviously don't like it when they do big things, that especially things from the movies. I don't like that at all. But when it comes to small things like that, and the story pretty much plays out exactly the same, like with Kanan, it ends the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm. Here's an idea. What if they came out with a series called something like Star Wars Shorts, where each episode was about an hour, and it was just mini stories within the Star Wars universe that people would want to see expanded on, like Ben Solo at the temple, and then his story, of starting there to burning it down, like the Kylo Ren comics. What if they did something like that?
I mean, I just really want to see something with Luke's Jedi Academy, and I think that we're going there with Luke taking Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's I just want to see it. I just want to see it on screen instead of being oh, look at this little drawing that somebody made of what Luke's temple might look like. It's I just need to see it. Give it to me. Give it to me. Let me get that. Boom, 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 boom. Let me get that.
Yeah. I totally agree. That would be cool.
But yeah, there's just so much. And that's a nice thing about Star Wars is there's so much you can do because it's all fictional. None of it is grounded in any sort of real life. Marvel is still grounded in I mean, with the multiverse, we're getting away from that. But, Marvel for a long time was grounded in real world events and, like grounded to Earth. Star Wars can do literally whatever it wants to do. The physics are different. Like everything about Star Wars is different from what we know. So because of that, there's endless opportunity for stuff that you can do. I would like to see the world between worlds touched upon again, because I feel like, again, it's something that I love about Rebels because it's weird and different, but also you never hear about it or see it again after Rebels.
I mean, there's a lot of people that really misunderstood the point of that. And if they are going to touch it, they need to like keep it on lockdown, like make sure that the whole point of that world and that idea doesn't kind of grow too much, because I don't know. I don't really like how some people purposefully misunderstand the point and the lesson that was trying to teach Ezra. But
no, I totally agree with that as well. Just because then you don't want to make it be like, oh, everybody ever in the galaxy is trying to find the world between worlds.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll touch on it more in the Ahsoka show because that has to do with Ezra.
And Ahsoka being alive.
Literally, that's the only reason she's alive is because of Ezra. So I feel like this kind of wraps up our conversation here. Huge thank you to Aaron for joining our Have a Chat this week. We actually, every time we do one of these, we kind of like to plug our guests' social media. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to pull up a window here. Bam. And bam.
Bam.
And there it is. Can you see it on your end?
Don't shake.
All right. So this is Aaron's Twitter page here. He does some really, really awesome content. Again, writer for the HoloNet Marauder. Definitely go check out that page as well. Some really awesome stuff there. But yeah, we've got some great stuff here. Definitely give him a follow. He loves to interact with people. I've only ever had good experiences interacting with him, even if we disagree on a topic. That's always fun too. Because believe it or not, Star Wars fans can sometimes be civil when they are debating stuff. And
that's crazy. What?
Scream and yell. So again, thank you so much for being on the show. And this has been the most mediocre podcast in the Star Wars universe.
Well, thanks for having me.
Exactly.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
Sure. We had a great time, dude. It's always so much fun to do this.
Heck yeah. So we will see everybody in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.